Good evening, it's time for dinner. We're at Leviticus chapter 20. And Jehovah spoke to Moshe, saying, Say to the children of Israel, any man of the children of Israel, or of the strangers who sojourn in Israel, who gives any of his offspring to Molech, shall certainly be put to death. The people of the land shall stone him with stones. And I shall set my face against that man, and shall cut him off from the midst of his people, because he has given of his offspring to Molech, so as to defile my set-apart place, and to profane my set-apart name. And if the people of the land at all hide their eyes from the man, as he gives any of his offspring to Molech, and they do not kill him, then I shall set my face against that man and against his clan, and shall cut him off. And all who go whoring after him, even go whoring after Molech, from the midst of their people. And the being who turns to mediums and to spirits to go whoring after them, I shall set my face against that being and cut him off from the midst of his people. And you shall set yourselves apart, and shall be set apart, for I am Jehovah your Elohim. And you shall guard my laws and do them. I am Jehovah who sets you apart. For everyone who curses his father or his mother shall certainly be put to death. He who cursed his father and his mother, his blood is on him. And a man who commits adultery with the wife of another man, who commits adultery with the wife of his neighbor, the adulterer and the adulteress shall certainly be put to death. And a man who lies with the wife of his father has uncovered the nakedness of his father. Both of them shall certainly be put to death. Their blood is upon them. And a man who lies with his daughter-in-law, both of them shall certainly be put to death. They have made confusion. Their blood is upon them. And a man who lies with a male, as he lies with a woman, both of them have done an abomination. They shall certainly be put to death. Their blood is upon them. And a man who marries a woman and her mother, it is wickedness. They are burned with fire, both he and they, that there would be no wickedness in your midst. And a man who has intercourse with a beast, he shall certainly be put to death, and the beast you kill. And a woman who approaches any beast and mates with it, you shall kill the woman and the beast. They shall certainly be put to death. Their blood is upon them. And a man who takes his sister, his father's daughter, or his mother's daughter, and sees her nakedness, and she sees his nakedness, it is loving commitment, and they shall be cut off before the eyes of their people. He has uncovered his sister's nakedness. He bears his crookedness. And a man who lies with a woman during her sickness and uncovers her nakedness, he has laid bare her flow, and she has uncovered the flow of her blood. Both of them shall be cut off from the midst of their people. And do not uncover the nakedness of your mother's sister, nor of your father's sister, for that is laying bare one's own flesh. They bear their crookedness. And a man who lies with his uncle's wife, he has uncovered his uncle's nakedness. They bear their sin. They die childless. And a man who takes his brother's wife, it is uncleanness. He has uncovered his brother's nakedness. They are childless. And you shall guard all my laws and all my right rulings, and do them, so that the land where I am bringing you to dwell does not vomit you out. And do not walk in the laws of the nation which I am driving out before you, for they do all these, and therefore I loathe them. But I say to you, you are going to possess their land, and I myself give it to you to possess it, a land flowing with milk and honey. I am Jehovah your Elohim, who has separated you from the peoples. And you shall make a distinction between clean beast and unclean, and between unclean birds and clean. And do not make yourselves abominable by beast or by bird, or whatever creeps on the ground, which I have separated from you as unclean. And you shall be set apart to me, for I, Jehovah, am set apart, and have separated you from the peoples to be mine. And a man or a woman in whom there is a medium, or who are spirits, shall certainly be put to death. They are to stone them with stones. Their blood is upon them. And Jehovah said to Moshe, Speak to the priests, the son of Aharon, and say to them, No one is to be defiled for the dead among his people, except for the relatives who are the nearest to him, for his mother and for his father, and for his son and for his daughter, and for his brother, and for his maiden sister who is near to him, who has had no husband. For her she's defiled. A leader does not defile himself among his people to profane himself. They do not make any bald place on their heads, and they do not shave the corner of their beards, and they do not make a cutting in their flesh. They are set apart to their Elohim, and do not profane the name of their Elohim, for they bring the fire offering of Jehovah, and the bread of their Elohim, and shall be set apart. They do not take a woman who is a whore, or a defiled woman, and they do not take a woman put away from her husband, for he is set apart to his Elohim. And you shall set him apart, for he brings the bread of your Elohim. He is set apart to you, for I, Jehovah, setting you apart, am set apart. And when the daughter of any priest profanes herself by whoring, she profanes her father. She is burned with fire. And the high priest among the brothers, on whose head the anointing oil was poured, and who is ordained to wear the garments, does not unbind his beard, nor tear his garments, nor come near any dead body, nor defile himself for his father or his mother, nor go out of the set-apart place, nor profane the set-apart place of his Elohim. For the sign of dedication of the anointing oil of his Elohim is upon him. I am Jehovah. And let him take a wife in her maidenhood, a widow, or one put away, or a defiled woman, or a whore. These he does not take. But a maiden of his own people he does take his wife. And he does not profane his offering among his people, for I am Jehovah who sets him apart. And Jehovah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to Aharon, saying, No man of your offspring throughout their generations who has any defect is to draw near to bring the bread of his Elohim. For any man who has a defect is not to draw near, a man blind, or one lame, or disfigured, or disformed, a man who has a broken foot or a broken hand, or is a hunchback, or a dwarf, or a man who has a defect in his eyes, or eczema, or scab, or is a eunuch. No man among the offspring of Aharon the priest, who has a defect, is to come near to bring the offering made by fire to Jehovah. He has a defect. He does not come near to bring the bread of his Elohim. He does not eat the bread of his Elohim, both the most set apart and the set apart. Only he does not go near the veil or approach the slaughter place, because he has a defect, lest he profane my set apart place. For I am Jehovah, who sets them apart. Thus Moshe spoke to Aharon and his sons, and to all the children of Israel. And Jehovah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to Aharon and his sons, that they separate themselves from the set-apart offerings of the children of Israel, and that they do not profane my set-apart name in what they set apart to me. I am Jehovah. Say to them, any man of all your offspring throughout your generations who draws near the set-apart offerings which the children of Israel set apart to Jehovah, while he has uncleanness upon him, that being shall be cut off from before me. I am Jehovah. Any man of the offspring of Aharon who is a leper or has a discharge does not eat the set-apart offering until he is clean. And whoever touches what is rendered unclean by a being, or a man who has an emission of semen, or a man who touches any swarming creature, by which he would be made unclean, or any being by whom he would become unclean, even any of his uncleanness. The being who has touched it shall be unclean until evening, and does not eat the set-apart offering, but shall bathe his body in water. And when the sun goes down, he shall be clean, and afterward eat the set-apart offering, because it is his food. He does not eat that which dies or is torn by beast, becoming unclean by it. I am Jehovah. And they shall guard my charge, lest they bear sin for it, and die thereby. When they profane it, I, Jehovah, set them apart. And no stranger eats the set-apart offering. A sojourner with the priest, or a hired servant does not eat the set-apart offering. But when the priest buys a being with his silver, he does eat of it, and one who is born of his house does eat his food. And when a priest's daughter is married to a stranger, she does not eat of the set-apart offering. But when a priest's daughter is a widow, or put away, and has no child, and has returned to her father's house as in her youth, she does eat her father's food, but no stranger eats of it. And when a man eats the set-apart offering by mistake, then he shall give a set-apart offering to the priest, and add 1/5 to it. And let the priest not profane the set-apart offering of the children of Israel, which they lift up to Jehovah, or allow them to bear the crookedness or trespass when they eat their set-apart offering. For I am Jehovah who set them apart. And Jehovah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to Aharon and his sons and to all the children of Israel, and say to them, any man of the house of Israel or of the strangers of Israel, who brings his offering for any of his vows or for any of his voluntary offering, which they bring to Jehovah as an ascending offering. For your acceptance is a male, a perfect one, from the cattle, from the sheep, and from the goats. Whatever has a defect you do not bring, for it is not acceptable for you. And when a man brings a slaughtering of peace offering to Jehovah, a complete, a vow, or a voluntary offering from the cattle or the sheep, it is to be perfect, to be accepted. Let there be no defect in it. Those blind or broken or cut, or having an ulcer or eczema or scabs, you do not bring to Jehovah, nor make any offering by fire of them on the slaughter place to Jehovah. As for a bull or a lamb that has any limb deformed or dwarfed, you do not prepare as a voluntary offering, but for a vow it is not accepted. Do not bring to Jehovah what is bruised or crushed or torn or cut, nor do it in your land. And from a son of a stranger's hand, you do not bring any of these as the bread of your Elohim, for their corruption is in them, and defects are in them. They are not acceptable for you. And Jehovah spoke to Moshe, saying, when a bull or a sheep or a goat is born, it shall be 7 days with its mother, and from the 8th day and thereafter it is acceptable as an offering made by fire to Jehovah. But do not slay a cow or a sheep and its young on the same day. And when you slaughter a slaughtering of thanksgiving to Jehovah, slaughter it for your acceptance. It is eaten that same day. Leave none of it till morning. I am Jehovah. And you shall guard my commands and do them. I am Jehovah. and do not profane my set-apart name, and I shall be set apart among the children of Israel. I am Jehovah who sets you apart, who brought you out of the land of Mizraim, to be your Elohim. I am Jehovah.